Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 4, Xuansheng Dao Sect Twin Rice Sect. Chapter 86 341 Snow Falls All Over the City. 86th of Volume 4. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. The Hidden Lord turned to Li Wei, a smile in his eyes. I know you have many questions. This Vice Commander Zhou before you is a hidden one from the previous 60-year cycle, tasked with infiltrating the imperial court. Li Wei's tension completely dissolved. He clasped his hands in a respectful bow. Greetings, Elder Zhou. Hidden ones from the previous 60-year cycle were all hidden elders. Hidden ones from the cycle before that were known as Grand Elders. Zhou Bida forced a stiff smile, clearly a serious man by nature. Li Wei asked, did my disguise technique have a flaw? How did the Hidden Lord know it was me? The Hidden Lord smiled at him. Li Wei understood, so, she told you. He was referring, of course, to Yao Qingshan. The Hidden Lord's presence here made Yao Qingshan's identity self-evident. She didn't dare speak directly. I deduced it myself. The Hidden Lord sighed. In her position, the slightest misstep could lead to annihilation. You carry the death spirit fire she planted within you. And to gain the trust of the Twin Rice Sect's upper echelons, she has a similar, even more profound restraint on her own body. Every word she speaks, every action she takes, could be sensed. Li Wei finally understood why Yao Qingshan, despite being a hidden elder, had always been cold towards him. She could only protect him through subtle means. Li Wei had her as a protector at the Twin Rice Sect's cultivation headquarters. But she had no such backing. She had to rely on herself, walking on thin ice, facing even more terrifying enemies. Isn't she in great danger? Li Wei asked, deeply concerned. Without Yao Qingshan's protection, he would have suffered untold torment after being captured by the Twin Rice Sect. His fate wouldn't have been much better than Tuoba Buchuo's, even with his value in cultivating golden rice. The Hidden Lord replied, who isn't in danger? I risked everything by coming to South Yan Pass myself. The Twin Rice Sect has grand ambitions, aiming to overthrow the entire Lingxiao realm. When that happens, there will be nowhere to hide. If the strong refuse to take responsibility, refuse to risk their lives in search of a path to survival, and instead rely on others, we'll all perish in our selfish pursuits. There's nothing we can do. In truth, she should have been the Hidden Lord, and I should have gone to the Twin Rice cult. That was the original plan. Sigh. As he spoke, the Hidden Lord's emotions threatened to overwhelm him. He paused for a moment before continuing, where's the item? Li Wei took out the foot-square iron box and placed it on the long table in the pavilion. The Hidden Lord dispelled the talismanic runes on the box, opened the lid, and a crimson radiance spilled out. The first layer contained a fist-sized fruit, its fragrance rich and its crystalline surface radiant. A vermilion cloud fruit, a treasure said to extend life by 30 years, Li Wei recognized it. Zhou Bida said, this was my request to the Twin Rice Sect. With 30 more years of life, my chances of breaking through to Immortal Realm would be greater. Without even glancing at the vermilion cloud fruit, the Hidden Lord swiftly opened the second layer. Golden light erupted, revealing an immortality golden pill the size of a newborn's fist, countless scriptures swirling across its surface. An immortality golden pill, not an immortality pill, is a golden pill cultivated by martial mystic cultivators in the Immortal Realm. Fusing a Dao fruit into a golden pill marks the breakthrough to the Immortal Realm. The Hidden Lord tossed the immortal golden pill aside and began frantically searching, even peeling back the layers of the iron box one by one. It's not here. Why isn't it here? What are you looking for, Hidden Lord? Li Wei asked. The Hidden Lord replied, her sending you to South Yan Pass served two purposes, to remove you from headquarters and grant you freedom. Secondly, she must have tasked you with bringing out something of utmost importance, something we desperately need. What else did she give you? No, before she left, she only gave me this iron box. If there's anything else. Li Wei took out the golden smiling Buddha mask and handed it to the Hidden Lord. But she gave me this mask long ago. The Hidden Lord immediately channeled his spiritual light, Lingguang, into the mask, causing it to erupt in blinding light. Upon closer inspection, intricate formations and array scripts appeared within the mask, dense and profound. This is it. The Hidden Lord exhaled deeply, quickly memorizing the patterns and imprinting them into his mind. Some of these can only be deciphered by someone from the Zhuoqiu clan. Without these formations and formation scriptures, attacking the Twin Rice Sect's cultivation headquarters would result in a casualty ratio of at least 5 to 1. Such losses are unsustainable for any side. After memorizing everything, the Hidden Lord erased the formations and formation scriptures from the mask and returned it to Li Wei. Did she leave any message for you? Li Wei desperately wanted to avoid saying it, knowing it meant Yao Qingshan might die at the Twin Rice Sect's cultivation headquarters. But this was undoubtedly her own choice, and the thought filled him with unbearable sorrow. Li Wei sat down heavily, his face grim. Corpse cultivation rice is real. Yao Qingshan hadn't explicitly said it, but that was the clear implication. The Hidden Lord and Zhou Bida's expressions changed drastically, despite their earlier suspicions. Having it confirmed was an entirely different matter. They knew this wasn't the first time corpse cultivation rice had appeared. The last time, it had wiped out an entire living realm, transforming its inhabitants into a world of ricefolk. The Hidden Lord's voice was parched as he asked, when will the rice fill the world? In 3 months. But she said not to take it too seriously. The Twin Rice sect will try to delay it as much as possible. Li Wei immediately added, oh, right. By then, the Twin Rice sect and the Demon Clan will join forces to attack Lingxiao City. He then recounted what he had witnessed in Thunder Mausoleum, Liling City, revealing that the Demon Clan had also allied with some factions from the Nether Realm of the Dead. Both the Hidden Lord and Zhou Bida had weathered countless storms, but they were stunned by Li Wei's revelations. They held their breath, their hearts pounding like thunder. 3 months. Is time already so critical? Zhou Bida asked. The Hidden Lord clenched his fists. Every faction in the world would love to see the Demon Clan tear Yu Yaozi into 1,000 pieces, just as they'd love for Yu Yaozi to slaughter the Demon Clan. The Demon Clan and the Twin Rice sect are too clever in their strategy. When they attack Lingxiao City, the world will cheer and stand aside, waiting for them to destroy each other. I suspect that if I sent this news back to the Zhuoqiu clan, it would backfire, Hidden Lord said. Li Wei asked, would the Zhuoqiu clan really sit back and watch the Demon Clan and Twin Rice sect fight each other? Who knows? Hidden Lord replied, his voice agitated, right now, the Zhuoqiu clan and the Snow Sword Tank Court have joined forces with various factions to attack the underground Immortal Mansion. But their hearts aren't united, everyone fears casualties. If the news gets out, they might all lay down their arms and let the Demon Clan, Twin Rice sect, and Imperial Court fight it out first. No matter. Let's return and discuss this later. Zhou Bida said, leave the 30 Imperial Court cultivators Luansheng Linyu controls to me. I'll report them to the Phoenix Terrace. Oh, and one more thing, Li Wei added. Yang Shenjing and Shu Fodu are the Twin Rice sect's 2 vice palace masters. Is there any chance we could topple the Sui sect first? Hidden Lord replied, easier said than done. The Sui sect is incredibly powerful now, deeply trusted by the second palace master. Moreover, they're retainers of the Zhu Li tribe, with impeccable backgrounds. The Imperial Court is rotten to the core, consumed by infighting and chaos, Zhou Bida said, any news that leaks out will be dismissed as factional squabbling. Hidden Lord pulled Li Wei, preparing to take him back to Li Prefecture, far from the eye of the storm. Li Wei suddenly remembered something. Elder Zhou, are your family members still held by the Twin Rice sect? Zhou Bida's eyes clouded with grief. Rest assured, I can distinguish right from wrong in matters of great importance. I won't let them control me. If they harm my family, I'll join them in death. The Hidden Lord said, Old Zhou, the Hidden Sect will do everything we can to rescue them. Li Wei quickly clarified, that's not what I meant. Elder Zhou, I believe that safeguarding the nation and family is a man's responsibility, as is the bond with his children. Who is holding them captive, and where are they? Zhou Bida shook his head, his eyes reddening, I don't know. The one behind this isn't someone from our hidden sect, but another faction within the Twin Rice sect, perhaps the Yang Shenjing you mentioned. Li Wei turned to the Hidden Lord. When I left, she said she was going to South Yan Pass to find the prefect elder, who is in charge of all matters there. I think she was hinting that Elder Zhou's family could be found through the prefect elder. I want to try. The Hidden Lord stared intently at Li Wei. Do you think the heretical sect is keeping secrets from her and guarding against her for no reason? Do you think you're safe? Ah, well, I've never been able to dissuade you. I'll wait for you outside the city for half a day at most. Old Zhou, do you think our Divine Hidden One is up to the task? Unqualified as a Divine Hidden One. Zhou Bida's face was filled with gratitude. He carefully packed the vermilion cloud fruit and immortal golden pill into a box and handed it to Li Wei. But a Divine Hidden One with a human heart is someone we'd gladly risk our lives for. Please accept this, don't refuse. I beg you. Li Wei wasn't one to dither. He accepted the iron box and made a solemn promise, the Hidden Sect will never abandon any of the Hidden Ones, including their families. The Hidden Lord, carrying a great secret that could determine the fate of countless lives, refused to take risks and immediately left the city. Li Wei, on the other hand, disguised himself once more and headed for the Twin Rice sect's base in South Yan Pass. Guanlin Pavilion, a brothel. Many beautiful ricefolk women were sold into brothels, where they faced tragic fates. Ironically, this made brothels perfect havens for Twin Rice sect's cultivators to gather information and establish bases. Li Wei had just found Guanlin Pavilion, gazing at the magnificent and imposing garden architecture before him. Boom! South Yan Pass shook violently. Spiritual chi ripples spread across the city, activating layers of formation light screens. The ripples contained the spiritual chi of an immortal. Snow blanketed the entire city, each flake as large as a goose feather. Li Wei looked up at the fourth-tier city above and realized the battle was coming from the direction of Zhou Manor. The sound of battle struck Li Wei like a thunderbolt, causing his heart to skip a beat. His mind filled with the question, why? Without hesitation, he turned and fled, hurrying toward the city gate. Inside Zhou Manor, large sections of the buildings had collapsed, and the defensive formations had shattered. The manor had been breached from the outside. Too late. Yao Qian, clad in his junior minister's official robe, stood tall and handsome as jade. He enveloped all of South Yan Pass within his Dao Heart manifestation, carefully sensing every passerby, with special attention to the city gate. His intent wasn't yet strong enough to lock onto every individual, he had to rely on luck. Standing around him were 2 rows of Phoenix Terrace female officials, all possessing pure immortal physiques and powerful cultivation. On the other side, Zhou Bida's chest had been pierced through, leaving a bowl-sized bloody hole. Blood flowed from his 7 orifices, but his vitality was strong, and he hadn't yet died, writhing in agony. The old ancestor of the Sheng clan released threads of spiritual light Lingguang from his brow, which burrowed into Zhou Bida's skull, attempting soul retrieval to search for memories. You won't succeed. Zhou Bida roared hoarsely, gathering his remaining strength to erupt from the bottom of the crater. He threw a punch at the old ancestor of the Sheng clan, the fist's energy domineering and profound, causing the heaven and earth spiritual chi of the entire Zhou Manor to boil. The old ancestor's expression changed drastically, and he immediately retreated. Boom. Yao Qian descended from the sky, stomping Zhou Bida's head into bloody pulp. Another crater formed in the ground as his voice echoed out, "Close the city gates. Impose a citywide lockdown." A Phoenix Terrace female official asked, "What if the heretical sect's contact has already left the city? Sect leader of the Sui sect will personally intervene. Even if it's an immortal realm cultivator, they will die without a doubt," Yao Qian replied calmly. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 4, Xuansheng Dao Sect Twin Rice Sect. Chapter 87 342 Counterattack. 87th of Volume 4. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Li Wei, with his keen senses, raised his head slightly and sensed the Dao Heart manifestation of an immortal realm great power enveloping the entire city, its spiritual chi and willpower permeating every corner. He immediately slowed his pace and changed direction, abandoning his plan to head for the city gate. At that moment, he had no idea who had unleashed the Dao Heart manifestation, nor was he familiar enough with Yao Qian's power fluctuations to recognize them. On the wide streets, panic gripped the populace as carriages and horses raced through the city. Shopkeepers and merchants emerged from their stores, gathering at their doorways to watch the waves of battle emanating from the distance. The city gates are closed. The second layer of the city protecting formation has been activated. Could a powerful demon have infiltrated the city? It seems something major has happened in the 4th-tier city domain. Even immortal realm great powers are involved. Let's hope the fighting doesn't spread here. I heard all the experts from the attendant hall at Southern Yan Pass just mobilized. And a major figure from Lingxiao City has personally rushed here. These are truly troubled times. Is even the immortal plane no longer safe? Boom. Far beyond Southern Yan Pass, a muffled explosion echoed. The ground trembled slightly. The clash of spiritual artifacts briefly eclipsed the sun's brilliance. Li Wei stopped, gazing beyond the city walls. His chest felt tight, suspecting something had happened to the hidden lord. His mind raced with chaotic thoughts, his thoughts a blank slate. He quickly entered a noodle shop at the crossroads. He could sense willpower brushing past him from time to time. The sensation was subtle, like ripples spreading across a calm lake. Ordinary martial mystic cultivators wouldn't even notice it. Shopkeeper. A bowl of soup noodles. Li Wei stared at the white mist rising from the stove beside him, forcing himself to calm his violently racing heart. He practiced the jade void breathing technique. Gradually, he entered an unprecedented state of calm, purging all confusion, fear, shock, and resentment, falling into deep thought. Even if the sky were to collapse, he couldn't panic. Southern Yan Pass was densely populated. As long as he concealed his chi and didn't lose his composure, he would be safe for the time being. Wait. He needed to know what had truly happened. He channeled his spiritual power into his ears, extending his hearing beyond the noodle shop, through walls and across streets, to gather useful information. As time passed, more and more news spread through the streets, reaching his ears. Young master, hurry home. The junior minister of the attendant hall personally led the attack on Vice Commander Zhou's prefecture, capturing a major figure from the heretical sect. Southern Yan Pass is extremely unsafe right now. Vice Commander Zhou, in collusion with the heretical sect, has committed suicide to avoid punishment. Rumor has it an immortal realm great power from the Twin Rice sect met with him and fled the city, but was intercepted. With the Sui sect leader personally intervening, even an immortal realm great power would be forced to surrender. He's one of the most formidable figures below the transcendence. The events at the Zhou Manor caused a major uproar. Moreover, Yao Qian had directly used his Dao Heart manifestation to envelop the entire city, ensuring that everyone knew what had happened. The junior minister of the attendant hall. That's Yao Qian. It seems his willpower was searching the entire city just now, Li Wei said, his gaze hardening. He stared at the steaming noodle soup the shopkeeper had just set before him, his fists clenched so tightly his knuckles were white. A bone-chilling cold gripped his heart. Rumors of all kinds were flying through the city gates. Yao Qian and Yang Shenjing had both taken action, their spiritual chi fluctuations recognized by many martial mystic cultivators. There was no room for doubt. Li Wei took a sip of the hot soup and picked up his chopsticks, his mind racing. Yang Shenjing's involvement explains everything. Only the Sui sect truly understands the Zhu clan. Yang Shenjing likely never trusted Yao Qingshan. Zhou Bida was a member of the Zhu clan. Yang Shenjing probably knew this secret long ago. He used Zhou Bida to set up today's trap, aiming to capture Yao Qingshan and the Hidden Lord in one fell swoop. At the same time, this incident allows them to publicly distance themselves from the Twin Rice sect, earning even greater trust within the imperial court. Even if rumors of connections between the Sui sect and the Twin Rice sect surface in the future, they can use this event to convincingly prove their innocence, provided there's no concrete evidence. It's a perfect two birds with one stone strategy. Through Yang Qingshan's death, Li Wei could see Yao Qian and Yang Shenjing's ruthless methods. They would stop at nothing to achieve their goals. Such individuals were truly terrifying. After finishing half a bowl of noodles, Li Wei couldn't taste a single thing. His heart ached, having just promised Zhou Bida that the hidden sect would never abandon any hidden ones or their families. Yet, within half an hour, they were separated by life and death. Facing Yang Shenjing, the hidden lord's chances of survival were slim. Moreover, since Yang Shenjing had already attacked Yao Qingshan at the main hall, the latter was unlikely to escape unscathed. Outside, soldiers raced through the streets, their horses' hooves and armor clashing in a constant din. The city gates were sealed. A massive manhunt was inevitable. Li Wei wondered if Yao Qian had extracted any useful information from Zhou Bida. Surrounded by an immortal realm great power, the attendant hall, and the entire southern Yan Pass army, being found and captured was only a matter of time. Anyone else in Li Wei's position would have been overwhelmed by fear and uncertainty. But after finishing the entire bowl of noodles, a surge of killing intent and fighting spirit coursed through him. So what if they were immortal realm cultivators? So what if he faced the entire imperial court? He decided to cast aside all restraint and fight Yao Qian to the death at southern Yan Pass. Zhuoqiu Hongting had once said that mastering the transformation technique to the point where it was indistinguishable from reality was more valuable than an immortal realm great power. Li Wei's transformation technique, passed down directly from his spirit tablet master, was even more flawless than Zhuoqiu Hongting's. As a mortal, Li Wei had fewer weaknesses in his disguise. This battle would be fought with the transformation technique. He wanted to see whether the transformation technique or the immortal realm was stronger. At noon, the sun blazed overhead. After settling the bill, he left the restaurant. The streets were becoming deserted, and the danger was increasing. It was becoming harder to blend in. But Yao Qian's Dao Heart manifestation and willpower had already receded, indicating a significant drain on his spiritual chi and mental energy. Even for a martial mystic cultivator who had just entered the immortal realm, finding a hidden person in a city of over 1 million people was like trying to climb to the heavens. In a deserted alley, Li Wei changed into more luxurious robes and altered his appearance once more. He headed straight for Xuanhuan Pavilion, the Twin Rice sect's largest stronghold in southern Yan Pass. He had to take this risk. If Zhou Bida was already dead, his family would lose their value and become extremely vulnerable. Li Wei refused to let this happen, as he had promised to save them. To save them, he had to race against time. He must rescue them before nightfall. The 5th-tier city domain of southern Yan Pass houses nearly 100,000 people in each tier. The city sprawls across a vast area, its streets and alleys densely packed. More than just a fortified pass, it serves as a crucial transportation hub between the Cloud Heaven, Yuntian, Immortal Plain and the 28 provinces of Lingxiao, with countless merchants passing through from north and south. Soldiers and their families are primarily concentrated in the 1st-tier and 4th-tier city domains. The 3rd-tier city domain is the most prosperous, boasting 4 main streets and a network of shops and markets. It's the primary gathering place for merchants from all walks of life, lacking the solemn atmosphere of military control. Xuanhuan Pavilion is a sprawling garden complex covering hundreds of acres. Its towering 4-story gatehouse features upturned eaves and ornate decorations. The main gate stands open, and the establishment is already in operation. However, during the day, the pavilion is eerily quiet, a stark contrast to the bustling, boisterous scene that unfolds at night. As Li Wei entered, two young women of exceptional beauty approached to greet him. He waved them away, his eyes burning with intense focus. Using his sharp senses, he located a manager with a high level of martial mystic Dao cultivation and presented his Divine Sun life token. The manager, a cultivator at the 5th layer of the 5 Seas realm, was visibly startled upon seeing the token. He immediately bowed respectfully and then led Li Wei through a series of connected corridors and gardens to the backyard, where a formation had been set up. Upon entering the backyard, Li Wei released his psychic power, sensing multiple powerful auras. This is indeed a major stronghold, he thought, it's gathered quite a few formidable individuals. Greetings, Divine Sun. The head of Guanyu Pavilion's branch, Xuanhuan, appeared to be in her 40s. Dressed in a pale blue palace gown, she resembled a benevolent noblewoman. Li Wei remained silent as he entered the hall and, with a show of force, activated his heavenly eye, fixing her with a piercing gaze. You're at the 4th heaven of the Dao Seed realm. Your status must be considerable. Are you in charge of all matters at Southern Yan Pass? This old woman merely assists the prefect elder. His position is special, and many matters are inconvenient for him to handle directly. Xuanhuan realized this Divine Sun was no ordinary individual. The vertical eye on his forehead had sent a chill down her spine. She placed the white mink she had been cradling on the ground and subtly signaled the steward who had brought Li Wei here. The steward, head bowed in understanding, took 2 steps back, preparing to leave. Such a minor movement couldn't escape Li Wei's notice. Whoosh! Consumed by murderous intent, Li Wei flicked his finger, sending a finger force streaking through the air. PFF'd. The steward's head was pierced, blood splattered, and he collapsed dead. Xuanhuan froze in shock. Li Wei casually waved his hand, conjuring a net woven from spirit light to ensnare the white mink and draw it toward him. Until I give permission, no living creature will leave this place. That includes you. Xuanhuan glanced at the steward's corpse, suppressing her horror. The prefect elder will surely take issue with your casual killing, Divine Sun. Don't try to intimidate me with others. Li Wei stroked the little sable, fully releasing his psychic field. His tone was calm, forget a mere manager. Even if I killed you, what could the prefect elder do? Answer my questions truthfully. If you dare to deceive me, that's your fate. Xuanhuan was stunned by Li Wei's aura. This Divine Sun had arrived with overwhelming killing intent, his presence utterly dominant. Do you know about the Zhou Manor's actions? Li Wei stared at her. Xuanhuan looked bewildered. What does what happened at the Zhou Manor have to do with us? Could the rumors be true? Is Vice Commander Zhou really meeting with a high-ranking figure from the Divine Sect today? Li Wei summoned the myriad manifestation staff spear from the Wind Mansion and struck the ground. Boom. Crimson gold flames of spirit light and martial chi surged forth, knocking Xuanhuan off balance and forcing her to stumble back 2 steps. I don't have much patience today. This is your last chance. Where are Zhou Bida's family being held? Li Wei didn't believe she didn't know. With her cultivation and control over the Twin Rice sect's largest stronghold in southern Yan Pass, how could she not know the Twin Rice sect was trying to turn Zhou Bida? Trying to cover up the truth only makes it more obvious. Xuanhuan finally lost her composure. A flash of icy coldness flickered in her eyes as she suddenly unleashed her Dao Heart manifestation with explosive force, shattering Li Wei's psychic field. Then, her long sleeve swept through the air like clouds. Spiritual artifact needles shot out from Xuanhuan's sleeve like 10,000 cold stars, blanketing Li Wei. Xuanhuan, unwilling to engage in a prolonged battle, activated her body cultivation technique and Dao technique, moving like a phantom as she charged outward, intending to gather reinforcements. This Divine Sun must be the one Prefect Elder had mentioned. Boom. A radiant image of the Fusang Divine Tree rose from Li Wei's body, blocking all the incoming spiritual artifact needles. They froze in midair, then melted into droplets. Li Wei sat calmly in his chair, casually swinging the myriad manifestation staff spear. The scarlet droplets suspended in the air shot forward, striking Xuanhuan with deadly accuracy. A low, pained cry echoed through the air. Xuanhuan crashed to the ground with a thud, her body covered in burn marks. Terrified and desperate, she tried to rise and flee again. Swish. The sharp, bright spearhead pointed at her forehead, radiating a fiery heat. Li Wei stood straight, holding the spear. A mere 4th heaven inferior root Dao Seed Realm cultivator dares to act so insolently before this Divine Sun. Do you think you can escape? I was wrong. This old woman was wrong. Please, Divine Sun, spare me. But I truly don't know where Vice Commander Zhou's family is imprisoned. It's a closely guarded secret, known only to Prefect Elder. Xuanhuan was pinned down by the myriad manifestation staff spear, unable to move. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 4, Xuansheng Dao Sect Twin Rice Sect. Chapter 88 343, At All Costs. 88th of Volume 4. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Li Wei frowned. Who do you take orders from? Venerable Nan. Ah. Xu Shanggu had only managed to utter 3 words before Li Wei's spear pierced her palm, leaving half her body numb and convulsing in agony. She quickly changed her answer. A year ago, the Yang clan secretly took control of everything in the Cloud Heaven, Yuntian, Immortal Plane and the 4 great city passes. The prefect elder had already submitted to them. We were forced to comply. Li Wei crouched down. Have you met anyone from the Yang clan? Xu Shanggu shook her head. They're extremely cautious. I only heard the prefect elder mention it in passing, which is how I learned that the Sui sect Yang clan is also under the divine sect's banner. Li Wei felt disappointed. Even someone of Xu Shanggu's status knew so little about the upper echelons. No wonder it was so difficult for various factions to uncover the Twin Rice sect's 6 core secrets. It seemed he would have to meet this prefect elder himself. Who is the prefect elder? Li Wei asked. Zhang Xin, one of the Zhang clan's top experts from the 3rd generation. He's the lord of the main office in the attendant hall at South Yan Pass. This time, Xu Shanggu didn't hesitate to reveal the prefect elder's information, a cold smile playing on her lips. She knew she was no match for Li Wei and had to swallow her pride to survive. But the prefect elder was a figure whose cultivation reached the heavens. This young man dared to seek him out. He was walking right into a trap. Xu Shanggu was already imagining Li Wei falling into the prefect elder's hands, how she would exact her revenge. PFF'd. Li Wei's spear pierced her skull with a heavy thrust. He used flames to reduce her corpse to ashes, leaving no trace behind. He didn't take the Dao Lotus, fearing it might expose his weakness. But he did take her boundary pouch. To his surprise, the boundary pouch contained a vast fortune, Xuanhuan coins, silver coins, and various treasures, including millennial essence herbs, worth at least 1 million Xuanhuan coins. Clearly, she had been the Twin Rice sect's purse keeper in South Yan Pass. Li Wei walked out of the back courtyard's formation. Outside, several Twin Rice sect elites, alerted by the commotion, had gathered, each wielding a spiritual artifact and glaring at him with hostility. Li Wei had already resolved to cast off his restraints. With nothing to fear, he walked forward calmly, pulled out the evil camel bell, and shook it. The Twin Rice sect elites around him immediately fell into a state of mental chaos, their screams echoing through the courtyard. The sound of bells was kept within a controlled range. Li Wei stepped out of the main gate and quickly blended into the crowd. Behind him, the backyard of Guanlin Pavilion descended into chaos, roars, slaughter, madness, and maniacal laughter. The martial mystic cultivators of the Twin Rice sect were consumed by negative emotions, as the forces of evil and corruption spread. Spiritual artifacts clashed, and they turned on each other in a frenzy of self-destruction. The more malevolent one's thoughts, the greater the influence. Bang! Bang! Corpses were hurled through doors, windows, and walls, crashing onto the street outside. Witnessing this scene, the Twin Rice sect's hidden agents stationed outside Guanlin Pavilion immediately rushed to report the news. Li Wei didn't leave. He climbed to the top of a watchtower 3 streets away from Guanlin Pavilion. From Xu Shanggu's boundary pouch, he retrieved a set of women's clothing. After a moment's hesitation, his gaze hardened, and he began to dress. The disguise technique could naturally transform his appearance into that of a woman. This was the best way to conceal himself, a method he had previously resisted. Now, he had no choice but to resort to it. He took out the golden smiling face Buddha mask and put it on. Gazing at Guanlin Pavilion from afar, he waited patiently for Prefect Elder Zhang Xin to arrive. The attendant hall was affiliated with Phoenix Terrace. In each of the Lingxiao realm's prefectures, a hall was established, headed by a hall master. Under the hall master's command were the First Bureau, the Feather Bureau, and the Claw Bureau. The First Bureau served as the think tank, responsible for offering counsel and making decisions. The Feather Bureau handled all types of intelligence gathering, espionage, and infiltration. The Claw Bureau, composed of martial mystic path experts, was responsible for executing actions. The heads of these 3 bureaus held the rank of main bureau. South Yan Pass was not a provincial city, so it lacked a hall master. Zhang Xin, as the main bureau, was already the highest commander of the attendant hall. Li Wei naturally wouldn't go to the attendant hall, that would be like walking straight into a trap. But with the Twin Rice sect's largest stronghold in trouble, Zhang Xin couldn't possibly stay away. Within just a quarter of an hour, a large army arrived, encircling the Guanlin Pavilion. The formation surrounding the city was fully activated, with formation scriptures and shimmering veils enveloping the heavens and earth. Shortly after, a magnificent exotic beast carriage sped toward the Guanlin Pavilion, trailed by 2 columns of attendant hall cavalry. The exotic beast carriage stopped outside the pavilion. An elder in purple robes quickly dismounted. Zhang Xin didn't appear frail, only a few strands of white hair framed his temples. His posture was ramrod straight, his gaze sharp, and he exuded an aura of natural authority. Lord of the main office. Lord, why has this matter even alarmed the attendant hall? The city defense soldiers saluted and bowed. The attendant hall has long suspected the Guanlin Pavilion's close ties to the heretical sect and has been secretly monitoring it. We haven't acted rashly because we wanted to catch the mastermind behind the scenes. Withdraw your men, leave this to us. Zhang Xin spoke calmly, knowing that if the city defense soldiers discovered anything amiss, he could only stall them like this. He then quickly entered the pavilion. Li Wei remained still, continuing to wait. Half an hour later, Zhang Xin emerged after clearing the Guanlin Pavilion of any lingering threats. His eyes, though restrained, held a deep, ominous glint, clearly masking a burning rage within. Who could it be? Their methods are utterly sinister. Li Wei, mimicking Yao Qingxin's tone, sent a voice transmission using spiritual qi directly into Zhang Xin's ear. Prefect Elder, your hasty arrival at the Guanlin Pavilion will surely catch the attention of those with ulterior motives and raise suspicion. That voice. Standing outside the Guanlin Pavilion, Zhang Xin suddenly raised his head, his pupils contracting as he scanned his surroundings with growing tension. He had lived nearly a century, his cultivation unmatched, his arrogance boundless. He was one of the Zhang clan's most formidable third-generation experts and one of the Twin Rice sect's 28 elders in the Lingxiao realm. But his opponent was Yao Qingxin. Even at the same cultivation level, she could easily kill him. If Yao Qingxin could transmit spiritual qi into his ear, she could also kill him with a single strike. Seeing that Zhang Xin dared not make any rash moves, Li Wei knew Yao Qingxin held immense power over him. He continued, stop staring. And don't try any tricks in front of me. I guarantee you'll die before Yao Qian arrives. Even if he does, I can send him away too. Zhang Xin quickly regained his composure, already formulating a plan. Following Yao Qingxin's instructions, he avoided everyone and climbed the watchtower step by step. Li Wei knew that clashing with an elder of the Heaven Valley Tianjia Hall was like dancing on a blade's edge. If his identity was exposed or his opponent took desperate measures, he would be in grave danger. But he had no choice. He should be more nervous than I am. He has to worry about Yao Qingxin's retribution and his identity being revealed. Li Wei completely calmed down, listening to Zhang Xin's footsteps as he climbed the ladder. Since Zhang Xin had previously served Yao Qingxin and only submitted to the Sui sect Yang clan a year ago, he likely hadn't yet reached the clan's core. You can stop there. Li Wei said calmly. Zhang Xin stopped on the staircase of the lower level, looked up, and caught a glimpse of Yao Qingxin's figure. He immediately feigned a look of fear and reverence, bowing deeply. Venerable, venerable. This old man knows nothing. It was all that bunch from the Sui sect, acting recklessly, surely trying to eliminate rivals. I was kept in the dark, only just learning about this. Li Wei couldn't be bothered to watch his performance. Eliminating rivals. Zhang Xin, are you truly that foolish, or have you already defected to their side? Zhou Bida is dead, isn't he? Zhang Xin nodded, Yao Qian couldn't afford to let him live. The risk of him speaking out was too great. Li Wei felt a pang of grief, but controlled her emotions. That's why I said you were foolish, while Yao Qian is utterly brilliant. Zhang Xin looked bewildered. May I ask for clarification, venerable? Li Wei said, I don't care whether you've already surrendered to them or not. But the most important thing for a person is to live with clarity. Zhou Bida was a deputy commander, a position of immense importance. How much effort did the divine sect expend to turn him? Now that he's dead, who will help us break through the gates of Lingxiao City in 3 months when the divine sect and the demon clan launch their attack? You. What? Attack Lingxiao City? Zhang Xin was genuinely shocked. This matter had only been finalized a few days ago. As someone with a special public identity, Zhang Xin had to be cautious in relaying information, so he hadn't learned about it so quickly. Li Wei adopted Yao Qingxin's tone. Now you understand why they killed Zhou Bida, don't you? Zhang Xin's expression shifted repeatedly. But they said, venerable, that you harbor ulterior motives. You mean they said I have a hidden agenda? Li Wei knew that Zhang Xin must be completely disoriented to say such a thing. Seizing the opportunity, he pressed on. That's why I call you foolish. Why would I ever betray the divine sect? What benefit would I possibly gain? The true traitor is Yang Shenzheng. The Sui sect only rose to prominence thanks to the divine sect's support. But now, they've pledged allegiance to the second palace master. They have everything they could ever want, sailing freely throughout the Lingxiao realm and rapidly expanding in just 2 years. Once Yang Shenzheng breaks through to become a transcendent, the Sui sect might one day become an ancient myriad sect, controlling the entire Lingxiao's transportation network. That's true glory. For the sake of their sect's future, they betrayed the Zhuli tribe. They're just as capable of betraying the divine sect. Now you understand why you were kept in the dark about the attack on Lingxiao City. Even Yang Shenzheng wasn't informed by headquarters, they were wary of him. Since you've submitted to them, you're naturally being guarded against as well. Prefect Elder, are you choosing the Sui sect, hoping to rise to prominence with them? As he spoke, Li Wei gently patted the big phoenix hidden beneath his robes. Instantly, a terrifying immortal realm aura erupted from Li Wei, so overwhelming that Zhang Xin fell to his knees with a thud, trembling as he pleaded, "Venerable, save me. I didn't know. I was kept in the dark. I had no idea Yang Shenjing was such an ungrateful wolf. Not even if you gave me 10 times my courage would I dare betray the divine sect. I still have the ancestor of Raya's death spirit fire within me. I wouldn't dare, absolutely not." Li Wei could only exploit the information gap to quickly solidify the accusation that Yang Shenjing and the Sui sect had betrayed the Twin Rice sect, pinning everything on them to save Yao Qingshan at headquarters. The Sui sect, descended from retainers of the Zhu Li tribe, had a clean background, making it difficult to trace their connection to the Twin Rice sect. At headquarters, they had few followers of their own. Yang Qingshi had to seize Wang Shu's followers to establish her own power base. This was both the Sui sect's advantage and their weakness. It indicated that their ties to the Twin Rice sector weren't as close as those of the Ricefolk's direct lineage. Blaming them for the betrayal made the plan feasible. Moreover, Yang Qingshi's actions against Wang Shu were aimed at preventing the Twin Rice sect from infiltrating the Sui sect again and to check the Yang clan's power. This suggests that someone within the Twin Rice sect must be wary of Yang Shenjing. If they couldn't eliminate Yang Shenjing and Yao Qian through the imperial court, then they would let the Twin Rice sect clean up their own house. This was only the first step. Next, Li Wei swore he would find a way to make this all undeniable. He would make them hoist themselves by their own petard for this day's scheme. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Melworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 4, Xuansheng Dao Sect Twin Rice Sect. Chapter 89 344 Leveraging the Situation. 89th of Volume 4. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. From Zhang Xin's reaction, it was clear that Yao Qian hadn't obtained any useful information from Zhou Bida. Moreover, the Hidden Lord hadn't yet fallen into Yang Shenjing's hands, or at least hadn't been brought back to southern Yan Pass. As long as Yang Shenjing couldn't capture the Hidden Lord alive, Li Wei was confident in proceeding with his next plan. After all, dead men tell no tales. If the Hidden Lord could escape, that would be the ideal outcome. But Li Wei dared not harbor too much hope. He had to act quickly. However, the more urgent the situation, the less he could afford to rush. Seeing Yao Qingshan remain silent, Zhang Xin sensed the calm before a storm. He knew the other party was likely hesitating over whether to kill him, weighing the pros and cons. In the face of life and death, all notions of dignity, integrity, and the demeanor of a powerful cultivator had to be temporarily set aside. Only by surviving could he hope for future possibilities. Standing on the staircase, he put on a half-truthful performance, that Yang Shenjing is a great immortal cultivator. He came to me personally, and I had no choice but to submit. If I refused, he would surely have used the Phoenix Terrace to eliminate me and install a Sui sect expert in my place. Venerable One, please spare me this once. From now on, I will gladly walk through fire and water, obeying only your commands. Li Wei said, if we weren't on the verge of attacking Lingxiao City and your position wasn't so crucial, I wouldn't have spared your life. Zhang Xin quickly raised his head, his face brightening with joy. Li Wei continued, but how can I trust you won't turn around and go straight to Yao Shaoqing, telling him everything? If they learned the divine sect was about to attack Lingxiao City, that we were already preparing for them, what would they do next? Zhang Xin's expression changed. I fear the divine sect's strongholds and personnel in Lingxiao City, the 4 passes, the 8 core provinces, and the southern territory would be uprooted by the imperial court within days. Li Wei said, so, how can I trust you? Zhang Xin pleaded urgently, the death spirit fire planted in me by the Rice ancestor prevents me from ever betraying you. If the Rice ancestor were to die at the second palace master's hands, that death spirit fire would be easily neutralized. That's what you're thinking, isn't it? Li Wei said. Bang. Bang. Zhang Xin kowtowed 7 or 8 times in rapid succession, Venerable One, I will do whatever you command me to do. Li Wei deliberately paused for a long moment, letting Zhang Xin's anxiety grow, before tossing a paper and brush from her cosmic pouch. Write a letter reporting them. If you dare betray the divine sect, this letter will naturally fall into Yang Shenjing's hands. When that happens, you'll find yourself with nowhere to hide. You're a smart man. You know how to write it, don't you? Venerable One, rest assured. This old man has dealt with the Sui sect for many years and knows many of their secrets. If not for the Vice Hall Master Yang Shenjing's position, I would have reported them long ago. Zhang Xin understood, Yao Qingshan was holding his life in her hands. If he continued to evade the core issue and remain evasive, he would be courting death. He had to choose between the imperial court and the twin rice sect. He chose the latter. With genuine sincerity, Zhongxin didn't use a brush. Instead, he bit his finger and wrote in blood. To the rice ancestor heavenly venerable above, Elder Zhongxin of Prefectural Prefecture respectfully offers this blood letter. Yang Shenjing of the Sui sect is tyrannical and overbearing. Within a month of entering the cloud heaven Yuntian immortal plane, he used the Phoenix Terrace as a weapon to leak divine sect secrets, leading to the deaths of dozens of sect masters. He then used this to coerce and pressure from within, secretly seizing control of the divine sect's forces in Lingxiao City and the 4 major city gates. The situation in other prefectures is likely similar. Your humble servant, Zhang Xin, is of meager cultivation and can only prostrate himself in submission, lacking the courage to defy or resist. I have heard that the second palace master's maid, Xuanhuan, has bestowed the 1,000 lives immeasurable pill upon Yang Shenjing, intending to cultivate him into a transcendent. That old scoundrel Yang Shenjing, a former retainer, devoured the Zhu Li clan's ancestral holdings to grow powerful. Now, he has pledged allegiance to Xuanhuan, promising a bright future for the Sui sect, a lane ancient myriad sects in the making, and a certain victory over the divine sect in service to their new master. Deputy Commander Zhou Bida of Southern Yan Pass was originally swayed by your humble servant's efforts to defect and prepare for the divine sect's uprising, coordinating from within and without. However, that old rogue Yang Shenjing and that young scoundrel Yao Qian, seeking to curry favor with their new master and eliminate rivals, set him up, aiming to kill several birds with one stone. Watching this unfold, your humble servant's heart burned with worry. My insides were on fire. If I do not report this now, the divine sect's foundations in Lingxiao City, the 4 passes, the 8 core provinces, and the southern territory will surely be destroyed. Today, I pour out the last drop of my cowardly blood to expose the 10 major crimes of that old scoundrel Yang Shenjing. The first, selling disabled rice people to the barbarian pirates of the 3 islands as mounts and food for their beasts. Second crime. For some reason, after finishing the blood letter, Zhongxin didn't feel the forced displeasure he had anticipated. Instead, a surge of exhilaration coursed through him, as if he had long wanted to report all of this. Li Wei retrieved the blood letter and examined it closely, drawing a sharp breath. He glanced at Zhongxin kneeling below. This old fox will do anything to survive. Every word of the blood letter dripped with blood. The 10 crimes were no simple matter. Several of them sent a chill down Li Wei's spine, and he suspected Zhongxin had fabricated them. For example, the third crime, to gain the second palace master's favor and trust, Yao Qian was implicated in the deaths of 2 twin rice sect elders. How could he possibly know such a secret? Li Wei strongly suspected that either Zhongxin had suffered a loss at Yao Qian's hands or harbored deep resentment toward him. Of course, it could also be a plot orchestrated by the twin rice sect's higher echelons. Even if it were true, Li Wei could understand. After all, who within the twin rice sect didn't have a dirty secret? Infiltration and gaining trust were never easy. If Yang Shenjing had always acted with complete transparency, he would never have achieved his current status. If Li Wei were completely exposed, just the fact that he was hiding Tang Wanzhou would be enough for Anshanjing to kill him. The twin rice sect, if it hadn't already veered so far down the path of evil and selfishness, wouldn't have appointed Anshanjing, a true and pure disciple, as the hall master of the Spirit Valley Linggu Hall. The blood oath couldn't possibly be entirely truthful. For example, Zhongxin's claim that he had painstakingly persuaded Zhou Bida to defect was clearly an attempt to take credit. Li Wei put away the blood oath. This is what it means to be an elder. Where are Zhou Bida's family being held? I must bring them back to the divine sect as irrefutable evidence. The Divine Martial Hall, one of the 4 major gangs in Thunder Mausoleum, Liling City, is secretly controlled by the divine sect. The terror in Zhongxin's eyes faded, knowing his life was spared. Southern Yan Pass is currently very unsafe. Should this old man use secret channels to help the Venerable One escape the city? Li Wei dared not linger any longer, and who knew what schemes this old man might be plotting? He couldn't afford to underestimate him. If I can't even come and go freely from a place like Southern Yan Pass, am I even worthy of being a Venerable One? Get out. After parting ways with Zhongxin, Li Wei changed his appearance several times, transforming into a young servant. He headed towards the border between the 3rd-tier city domain and the 2nd-tier city domain. The entire city was under lockdown, with each city domain separated by formations, making it impossible to cross. Li Wei certainly didn't possess the ability to escape safely. But he knew that once Zhongxin recovered from his shock and regained his ability to think critically, he might start to suspect something was amiss. That would be the real danger. To save Zhou Bida's family and ensure his plan's success, Zhongxin had to die. At the border between the upper and lower city domains, beneath the formation light veil, dozens of soldiers in black spiritual artifact armor stood guard. They held long spears, their expressions grim. Li Wei entered a nearby alley. The alley grew deeper and quieter the further he went. Two children, no more than 3 or 4 years old, appeared before him, engrossed in a game of grass fighting, on the ground. Beside them stood an open courtyard gate. Li Wei used his psychic power to scan the courtyard. No adults were present. Li Wei smiled kindly. Whose children are you? Why aren't you home? Don't you know it's dangerous outside right now? The two children glanced at him timidly, deciding he didn't seem like a bad person, and continued their grass fighting game. Grass fighting involved each child picking some grass leaves and seeing whose was the most resilient. Li Wei watched with amusement for a while before crouching down and pulling a scarlet grass leaf from his cosmic pouch. This leaf is the toughest in the world. The leaf was from a precious medicine, clearly extraordinary, and immediately captivated the children. One child, unwilling to admit defeat, challenged Li Wei to a grass fighting contest. But his grass leaves snapped one after another, while Li Wei's leaf remained completely unscathed. Seeing the child's lips quiver, on the verge of tears, Li Wei held the leaf in front of him. Whoever helps me with a small task later will receive this invincible heavenly mandate grass leaf. From this day forward, they'll be the strongest person here. The two children immediately began vying for the opportunity. I'll choose the bravest one, someone with true masculine spirit. Besides the heavenly mandate grass leaf, this person will receive another reward, Li Wei announced. The gates of southern Yan Pass were indeed closed, but not everyone was barred from entering or exiting. In the afternoon, a convoy from the general's mansion approached the gates. Leading the procession was Tai Shi Bai, riding a strange beast, followed by several retainers and 3 carriages. No one dared to stop them. As the convoy reached the boundary between the second-tier city domain and the third-tier city domain, the formation light veil had just opened. Tai Shi Bai. Bai Gerger. A 3 or 4-year-old child, clutching a letter, ran towards the convoy, repeatedly calling out Tai Shi Bai's name. The soldiers guarding the formation light veil raised their spears to intercept him. No one was allowed to approach the dignitaries. Tai Shi Bai barked, what kind of skill is it to bully a child? If you have courage, go kill demons or conquer heretical sects. He leapt from his strange beast, shoving the soldier aside, and knelt before the stunned child. He ruffled the child's hair and asked gently, were you scared? How do you know my name? Who sent you? The child recovered from his shock and replied with utmost seriousness, I wasn't scared at all. I'm the most manly person in southern Yan Pass. Are you the Bai Gerger that Big Brother was talking about? If you're looking for Tai Shi Bai, then yes, that's me. Tai Shi Bai said. Here. The child handed him the letter. Tai Shi Bai had already sensed something amiss. His gaze swept the surroundings, searching for any suspicious figures. Only then did he open the envelope and quickly read the contents. His expression grew increasingly grave, finally turning ashen. Where is the person who gave you this letter? He demanded urgently. The child pointed behind him. By the time the child led Tai Shi Bai into the alley, Li Wei had long since departed. The big brother said that after I delivered the letter, Brother Bai would give me a leaf as tough as the heavenly mandate grass, the child said, his eyes filled with anticipation. Heaven's mandate grass. Tai Shi Bai glanced at the leaf the child clutched to his chest, then at the pile of broken grass on the ground. He immediately understood the trick they had pulled. After questioning the child about the person's appearance and age, Tai Shi Bai said, this leaf of mine is even more powerful than the heavenly mandate grass. Keep it safe, or some other child might try to steal it. He then plucked the silver thorn grass, the embroidered emblem of the Tai Shi family's honor, from his robe and handed it to the child. Stepping out of the alley and into the formation light veil, he instructed the 2 soldiers guarding the entrance, watch over that child for the next few days. If anything happens to him, I'll hold you accountable. Tai Shi Bai strode quickly to the long clan carriage and handed the letter inside. He released his Tao heart manifestation, enveloping the carriage and its surroundings. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 4, Xuanhuan Dao Sect Twin Rice Sect. Chapter 90 345 2 letters written in blood. 90th of Volume 4. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. The letters primarily addressed 2 matters. First, Deputy Commander Zhou Bida's family was being held captive by the heretical sect in Thunder Mausoleum, Liling City's Divine Martial Hall. If they weren't rescued today, their reputation would be ruined, and their lives would be in peril. Second, Zhang Xin, the elder overseeing all heretical sect activities in Fu Prefecture, was the hallmaster of the attendant hall's main bureau at South Yan Pass. Each revelation was like a thunderclap, poised to unleash an unpredictable storm. Tai Shi Bai had already heard about the morning's events at South Yan Pass on his way back to the city. He never imagined there were so many hidden layers to the story. In the carriage, Madame Long asked, what do you think? It might be a trap, but lives are at stake. It's better to believe it than to dismiss it, Tai Shibai replied. Madame Long pressed, which matter do you think is more important? Both are. Rescuing the hostages is urgent, and Zhongxin must be brought under control immediately. We can apologize to him later after we've clarified the situation. If something were to happen to him in his position, the consequences would be unimaginable, Tai Shibai said. Silence hung in the carriage for a long moment. Tai Shibai frowned, sensing his mother's dissatisfaction with his answer. Does mother see something wrong with my assessment? Madame Long said, Zhongxin is first and foremost a member of the Zhong clan, and second, a member of the attendant hall. What right do you have to control him? You have no right to investigate him. Tai Shibai didn't immediately argue. After a moment of thought, he understood and exclaimed, Mother means saving people is more important. Madame Long said, Zhou Bida joined your father's personal guard at the age of 25. He fought in hundreds of major and minor battles. Only after turning 100 did he become a deputy commander, earning immense respect within the army. Tai Shibai retorted coldly, but Phoenix Terrace and the attendant hall bypassed us entirely. Without even a word, they barged into a deputy commander's residence in South Yan Pass, our territory, and killed him outright. Even if they had irrefutable evidence, such actions show utter disregard for the Tai Shi clan, effectively slapping father in the face. Now, someone has reported Zhongxin as an elder of a heretical sect. This is the perfect opportunity to restore our honor. I'll contact the Zhong clan and Yao Shaoqing, who is still in South Yan Pass. The three of us will investigate together. If we uncover anything, we'll see how Phoenix Terrace explains themselves then. Normally, they wouldn't launch a full-scale investigation into a main bureau based on a vague letter. But today was different, the commander-in-chief's office had suffered a major loss. Silence fell over the carriage again. Mother wants me to go to Thunder Mausoleum, Liling City to save people. Tai Shibai's mind raced. That's right. Saving lives is the most urgent matter. We can easily spare a team from the commander-in-chief's office to investigate the South Yan Pass incident. Madame Long said, with your cultivation and seniority, how could you possibly defeat Yao Qian? You probably wouldn't even stand a chance against that old fox Zhongxin. Leave the investigation of Zhongxin to Vice Commander Chu and Tai Shi Zhong. Immediately, right now, gather a group of elite soldiers and rush to Thunder Mausoleum City to rescue the hostages. You must bring them back to South Yan Pass unharmed and ensure their safety. We need to make sure the veterans in the army see the Tai Shi clan's stance on this matter. If you botch this and word gets out, you can forget about ever gaining a foothold in the military again. Who will truly serve the Tai Shi clan wholeheartedly then? Understood, mother. Your foresight is truly remarkable. I'll leave immediately. Tai Shibai finally understood why his mother considered the rescue mission more urgent. Rescuing the hostages was more crucial for him and the Tai Shi clan. First, the greatest concern for soldiers in the army was the safety of their families. If even the family of a deputy commander couldn't be protected, how would the rank-and-file soldiers view the Tai Shi clan? Second, the heretical sect's extreme tactic of holding a deputy commander's family hostage suggested that Zhou Bida likely hadn't yet yielded. As long as the Phoenix Terrace couldn't produce concrete evidence, the commander-in-chief's office could take the case all the way to Lingxiao City. Clatter. Tai Shibai mounted his exotic beast and galloped toward the city gates like a whirlwind. Inside the carriage, Madame Long's voice echoed, they're using the Tai Shi clan to further their own agenda. Investigate. Leave no stone unturned until you find the person who sent the letter. The Hidden Person Registry not only recorded information about all the hidden ones of this 60-year cycle but also listed some of their hidden sect strongholds and businesses. Many of these businesses had been left behind by generations of hidden ones throughout the Lingxiao realm. South Yan Pass's third city layer alone had 3 such businesses. Ever since the letter's contents had been leaked, the third city layer had been under strict scrutiny. Soldiers patrolled every street, and many formations had been activated. Even with Li Weiyi's mastery of the disguise technique, he dared not wander the streets openly, constantly dodging and evading detection. After inspecting all 3 businesses, he finally chose Old Joe's coffin shop, a relatively quiet establishment, as his temporary refuge. As the sun set, the sky grew dim. Scattered snowflakes began to fall. Old Joe, his leg crippled and leaning on a cane, his eyes red and swollen with grief and fury, returned to his coffin shop. He slowly removed the wooden door panels one by one, then slumped dejectedly at the entrance. He remained motionless, his heart consumed by sorrow. Only after night had fully fallen did he seem to regain some strength, lighting a bone lamp. Suddenly, in the lamplight, Old Joe saw a young man in green robes sitting inside the shop. The young man was reading something, but strangely, he emitted no aura whatsoever. Old Joe, who had spent his life surrounded by the dead and claimed to fear nothing in the world, couldn't help but feel a chill run down his spine. Old Joe's demeanor suddenly shifted. His eyes sharpened like blades. With a wave of his hand, he used spiritual chi to draw the hidden knife from behind the door into his grasp. Pointing the blade at the young man seated inside, he demanded, "Speak. Which faction do you belong to?" Li Wei was studying the ledger he'd found in Shu Shanggu's boundary pouch. He discovered that the Twin Rice sect had 3 additional bases and over a dozen properties in South Yan Pass, with a wide range of business operations. Furthermore, the ledger recorded 2 bases and numerous properties in Lingxiao City. Any power with tens of millions of followers must have a global network, with deep roots reaching into every corner of the world. Closing the ledger, Li Wei turned to Old Zhou. Old Zhou's hair was white and disheveled, his clothes gray and worn. A long scar ran across his neck, and his left foot was crippled, giving him the air of a dying ember. But as he raised the knife, an instant surge of martial killing intent filled the coffin shop. Li Wei asked, "Senior, you're from a military background, aren't you?" Old Zhou limped forward, his eyes blazing with hatred. "Attendant Hall. HMPH, not bad." Swish. The war blade slashed down, its arc like a bright crescent moon. He was at the 3rd realm of the 5 Seas realm. Bang. Li Wei remained seated, using his protective spiritual chi to meet the blade head-on with his forehead. His body was as indestructible as diamond, impervious to the strike. After sending Old Zhou reeling back, Li Wei produced the Divine Hidden One's token from the Zhu Hidden Sect. Upon seeing the token's unique hidden sect markings, Old Zhou's knife clattered to the floor. He dropped to one knee, tears streaming down his face. "Greetings, Divine Hidden One. The Zhu Hidden Sect. We must avenge Vice Commander Zhou. He died a terrible death. I wanted to retrieve his body, but I couldn't even get near the Deputy Commander's office." Li Wei helped him to his feet. "What was your relationship with the Vice Commander?" Old Zhou replied, "I was raised by Vice Commander Zhou and followed him for decades. 9 years ago, I lost a leg on the battlefield and was assigned here to run a coffin shop and relay messages. You took a huge risk. Going to the Zhou Manor at this time would easily arouse suspicion and lead to surveillance." Li Wei glanced outside. In the lamplight, the night was deep and dark, and the snow fell heavier than before. A biting wind continued to howl in. Old Zhou shook his head. "Countless soldiers went to the Deputy Commander's office today, active duty troops, wounded veterans, and retirees. Vice Commander Zhou served in the military for 80 years. How many people followed him? How many lives did he save? He often helped us wounded and retired soldiers. If the attendant hall wants to investigate, half of South Yan Pass would likely grind to a halt." Li Wei felt a slight sense of relief. "I am deeply saddened by Vice Commander Zhou's death and vow to avenge him. But right now, I have an urgent matter that requires me to send something out immediately. Do you have a way?" Old Zhou carefully replaced the door planks one by one, whispering, "Divine Hidden One, you're the person Phoenix Terrace, the attendant hall, and the Commander-in-Chief's office are searching for today, aren't you?" Li Wei nodded. Old Zhou continued, "The entire city is under lockdown. The city gates are closed, and any living creature attempting to leave will be detected, even if hidden in a boundary pouch. But if it's just an object, I can still find a way." Li Wei asked, "Are you certain? This object is crucial to avenging Vice Commander Zhou. There can be no mistakes." Old Zhou thumped his chest, guaranteeing, "I've spent my entire life at South Yan Pass. Everyone in the military is like family to me. The Vice Commander entrusted me with relaying messages, so I naturally have the ability to get them out, even in the most extraordinary circumstances." Time was of the essence, leaving Li Wei no choice but to trust Zhou Bid's prearranged plans. Using only Zhang Xin's blood oath wasn't enough, he had to write one himself. Slish. He tore a piece of cloth from his robe, slit his wrist, and began pouring blood onto it. Then, biting his finger, he wrote, "Urgent, to Palace Master and personally. Yi is trapped at South Yan Pass, hunted by the Phoenix Terrace, the Attendant Hall, and the Commander-in-Chief's office. An internal traitor seeks to kill me, making my return impossible. I was ordered by my master to carry a precious treasure from headquarters. But all along the way, I've been pursued by members of the Divine Sect. After enduring countless dangers and suffering severe injuries, I finally reached South Yan Pass. To my surprise, the pass seems to have already learned of the Divine Sect's impending attack on Lingxiao City and has begun a massive recruitment drive. I know entering the city is a death sentence, but I must complete my mission. I have no parents, no siblings, no ties, no regrets, except for those 4 little ones. I beg Hall Master to guide them well and keep them from straying onto the wrong path. In my heart, as long as Palace Master and remains, the Twin Rice sect is not a heretical sect. I would gladly die for it, without regret. This is all I have to say. Tell Master that I am grateful for her protection this past year. I spent the most carefree year of my life at the Southern Purity Nanqing Palace. I will repay all her kindness in my next life. There was no need for exaggeration. He simply spoke from the depths of his heart. After finishing, Li Wei carefully wrapped the 2 blood letters and sealed them with the Spirit Valley Lingu Hall's special talismanic runes. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.